how to get my ex back even if it seems impossible. This is what we're going to cover today in this video. My name is Alexis, I'm a relationship counselor and I help people get back with their ex. In this video, I've decided to really tackle this situation when people call me and tell me, Alexis, I think it's impossible. I think I will never get back with him or her. And after working with them, they kind of look back at the situation and now they're there with their ex. They felt like, oh, I felt that was impossible and now I've done it. There was a solution, there was a way, and for so long I've done so many mistakes, I've done the wrong things, I've listened to the wrong tips. So in this video I just want to gather very important things you need to know if you feel it's going to be very hard, if you feel it's going to be impossible to get back with your ex. I'll explain everything after the jingle.
IGetMyExBack.com. Everyone deserves a second chance.
If it's the first time you're watching one of my videos, I usually, my approach is to really tell you the truth and cut all the bullshit that you might be seeing online. And I'm going to start right on. Statistically, most breakups are definitive. Statistically. Simple fact, you've dated, statistically again, more than one person in your life, and therefore you haven't really gotten back with your ex in the past. How many exes do you have? So depending if statistically if you had like 5 exes and this one is the one you want to save, so it's 20% chance. So what makes you think this one is different? Because as I discussed, vast majority of the cases, people can't get back with the ex. They don't want to get back with the ex. Sometimes obviously it's mutual. Sometimes we have the feeling it won't work. What's different here? You know, what makes you think that, okay, you want your ex back, but what makes you think that there's something to be saved? What makes you think that they will also be willing to give you a second chance? I'm not doing magic. I'm a relationship counselor. I believe in what works. And I don't believe that we can manifest love or all these kind of things. What I do with my clients is that I remove all the barriers. I remove all the blockers that prevent them from getting back together. If your relationship wasn't strong, if what you had wasn't special, if you made too damage to the relationship, then I can't help you. And one way I ask my clients to assess this is to take the quiz that I put together. And it's a quiz that tells you if you have any chance to get back with your ex, because as I discussed, most relationships can't be saved. So if you're part of the minority of cases that for whom you can rescue the relationship, good for you, you can continue watching the video. If your score is below 15, so there's a grading on this test, it means that honestly your best course of action is to try to move on and do something else than trying to get back with your ex. That might be hard, that's not necessarily what you want to hear, but you'll thank me in 6 months when you'll be in a new relationship, new healthy relationship. So take the quiz, the link is in the description. It takes literally 2 minutes, it's obviously free, but the idea is for you to get these sort of insights, and because I know breakups is a lot of uncertainties, a lot of questions that you have, at least you have the answer to this question. What are the chances I get to get back with my ex? So it seems impossible, and I hear that almost every day. You have to acknowledge that seems impossible is judgmental. It's not a fact, it's completely subjective to your own opinion. What you determine or define as impossible, I would define it differently, or other people would define it differently. So what have you tried so far to make you think it's impossible? To talk them out, to buy them gift, to propose them, to talk to their friends, to their family, to tell them you'll change? These reasons are actually, or these strategies are wrong. That's not how you get back with an ex. Sometimes you can get back with an ex this way, but I can guarantee you that if you've tried and it worked, you wouldn't be watching this video, right? So probably you can tick 1, 2, 3 or all of them, and you've tried them out and you feel like, oh, it's impossible because, you know, I explained him or her that I will change. I told him or her that I love them and it doesn't work. So that must be impossible. It's because you're doing the wrong things, and I will explain what you should be doing. The right methods is to really understand what was wrong. Sounds very easy, it is extremely complex. It's extremely complex because for months, your ex was probably trying to tell you there was something wrong within the relationship. So it's not straightforward. For months, your ex probably felt something. Probably, sometimes people are not a great communicator and your ex didn't really express what they expected from the relationship or what they expected from you. But if you're honest with yourself, you know that these past months have been weird. It wasn't the same relationship that you had at the beginning. The intensity of your feelings were not the same, right before the breakup than when you got married, for example. You knew something was wrong, and consciously or unconsciously, you decided not to act. You decided not to tackle that, not to confront this. You can blame the other for not expressing what they wanted, but you're also responsible to the fact that as you felt things, or I took her or him for granted, I didn't work on the relationship, that's also part of your responsibility. So it's very important for you to understand the root cause. There's so many reasons why people sort of decide to change or to sort of think that they'll be happier not being with you. Because it's really about that. Your ex decided like the best option for me is to break up with my partner. I will feel happier. I will feel safer. I will feel more loved perhaps if I leave that person. And it's a big decision, right? I'm not making video for people who have had like relationships that are 2 weeks or 2 months or just flirts. I'm talking about people who have kids, who've been married, who have had like long and meaningful relationships. And so you need to leave some space because they need it. This breakup, it's a very hard decision for them to make. Of course, it's even harder for you because you're suffering the consequences of this breakup. You didn't see it coming. It's a shock. And I've been in your shoes and it's awful and you have this tight chest and you can't sleep. All these kind of things that are awful. But they also have a pain of, thinking, this relationship that they had, the person that they loved in the past, it's kind of sad that they had to end things. And so they need that space to reflect as well. They need that space because there's mechanically a lot of tension, a lot of resentment around breakup. And so when we leave that space to them, that removes the tension, that reduces the resentment. And the same way they need that space, you need it too. You really need to get that space because you need to reflect on what was wrong. Again, months and years of inaction, months of years of bad communication, months and years of, trying or not trying or pretending that you're not saying that there was something wrong. You have to address that. And it's not in a week, it's not in 2 weeks that you're going to fix this. They took months to, announce that they wanted to break up with you. Maybe that idea started in their mind 6 months ago and sort of grew over time and they announced it. So imagine how can you change someone's mind in a week, in 2 weeks, if they took 6 months to really make this decision. So it takes some time. Will it take 6 months? I don't know. It depends on the relationship. It depends on the work. It depends on your attitude. We'll discuss that after. So why you need some space? Breakup is a traumatic experience. And the reason I specialize in that as a relationship counselor is because I realized that, because I started with relationship counseling, and I realized that there was a lot of things, a lot of pain around breakups. And sometimes there's a lot of stigma around people suffering breakups. And you look at studies, scientific studies, neuroscientific studies, the effect of breakups on the brain are similar to any other type of trauma. And some of my clients, they have some sort of PTSD, it creates that strong anxiety. And the pain, when you do brain scans of people who have this sort of symptoms, the pain is similar. It's the same area in the brain that is activated when it comes to physical pain. And the pain won't, so it's really about the pain. The pain won't disappear if you stay attached to the relationship. Because the problem is when you're in touch with your ex, when you're trying to rekindle things, and obviously, again, if you're watching this video, it's because it's not working. The problem with that is that you create a cognitive dissonance where part of your brain is in the relationship trying to, living in the life of you being in the relationship with your ex, while at the same time, when you go back to bed alone in your bed, you're single. You're not with your ex anymore. The same way when you text your ex and you bring yourself, you bring your feelings in that conversation, and what you get in return is coldness, is distance, is silence. You get this on and off, and it's draining you emotionally. It's the worst thing you could be doing if you want to feel better, is to nurture this imbalance of you trying, investing, and getting nothing in return. Okay, so any interaction that sort of will disrupt that emotional state. Okay, and that will create more and more anxiety. So you're creating a lose-lose situation, because by doing that, you're also pushing your ex further. Because as we discussed, they need that space. They don't need that space indefinitely if you want to get back with them, obviously. But they need a bit of space. So be really mindful about those things, because most people will act this way because it feels great. It feels like, if I let them go, they will forget me. If I let them go, they'll find someone else. If I let them go, they'll forget me. But actually, what happens is if you don't let go, you won't heal. If you don't let go, you'll feel more anxious. If you don't let go, they will push back even more. They will block you. The sort of rejection will escalate. They broke up with you, they explain, usually people when they break up, they don't provide clear explanations, but they gave an explanation and you confront them. And so they're going to push back. They're going to say, stop, I don't want to hear from you anymore. They're going to start being mean, I've never loved you. And it's going to escalate to a point where they block you. They'll call the police because you don't listen. It's really about, again, going back to the understanding what they're trying to say, understanding what they want. And here is the dilemma. Impossible until it's done. You've probably really heard this quote. I can see that every day when my clients really put the work and get to this aha moment. And that's the best part of my job, is when we work for weeks and they don't understand, like, what are you trying to do? Where are we going? I told them, trust the process. And because it's like, I call it the ketchup effect. When you have a bottle of ketchup, you sort of shake it, and nothing comes out. And then at some point, you have everything. It's exactly what happens when I work with my clients, is that you work hard, you don't see any results. Your ex is still behaving the same way, and they are sort of giving you a hard time. And at some stage, there's a aha moment where you realize, like, yes, I get it. I get what should be my attitude. I understand now the triggers. And I can see now that my ex, I understand her or him or his psychology, right? And now I see the path. At the beginning it was very cloudy, it was very dark. Now I see the path. And as soon as you see this, it's almost a done deal. It's really about continuing on that path going forward. Okay? And everything is easier. Be mindful that at the beginning it's really hard. There's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of things that you have to challenge yourself with. And you're gonna, again, you have to trust the process of, making, one step at a time, trusting the process. And once you've done that and you see that clear path, it's just an amazing feeling, because then the recovery is organic. What I do with my clients is really, and I think most counselors would do, is like not try to force things, is to really try to surf the wave. What you're doing is you're sort of swimming against the current. That's against the stream. That's obviously the wrong approach. You're going to get tired and the stream will always work. But as soon as you understand the wave, as soon as you understand where you should put yourself, it becomes organic and the relationship will grow naturally, the same way it grew when you first started to date. The other dilemma is it's impossible, therefore I accept things for what they are. It's almost the opposite. So on one end, I want you to feel, okay, it's impossible, but there's always a way. But at the same time, it's impossible could be the sort of an opportunity for you to be released of that pressure. Okay? Sometimes I have people on the phone, they call me, and I clearly see they have no chance to get back with the ex. And I tell them clearly, like, honestly, and I sort of, it's really not judgmental, I really rephrase what they told me. But when they hear that from me, they say like, oh yeah, it's gonna be hard. And I rephrase, oh yeah, it's gonna be very hard. And I do that work, and at the end of the conversation, they realize like, okay, so I have no chance. I tell them, no, you don't have any chance. I mean, it's clear, their intentions, what you guys went through, the relationship, I don't think it's possible. And as soon as they hear this, as soon as they get the acceptance, you know, the grieving process goes through different steps. The last stage of grieving is acceptance. And as soon as you accept, you can focus on you can really let go. The reason I'm sort of, and you might be thinking like he's saying one thing and the other thing, the opposite, it doesn't make sense. How can I get back with my ex? Because it's the same mechanics. Getting back with your ex is really about accepting the situation for what it is. Because unless you do that, you can't move forward. Unless you do that, you can't work on yourself. Unless you do that, you're going to try to find sort of shortcuts, recipes, text that you could craft to get back with your ex, magical letter or stuff like that. No, that's not the point. The point is to, what should I be doing now to move forward? What should I be doing now to boost my confidence, to increase my self-esteem? Because this breakup was hard on me. I felt rejected. I'm feeling lost, confused. Now, if you want to get back with your ex, you have to be on your A game. And how can you be on your A game is to accept things for what they are. Because that will help you letting go. Detach yourself from the relationship. I'm also specialized in attachment style. And detaching yourself from the relationship is the most important thing you could be doing if you want to A, move on from this relationship, move forward, and B, to get back with them. Because what you're doing now is not getting back with your ex, it's creating a new relationship with your ex. So you have to close the chapter. You have to accept this relationship is dead. This relationship, I don't want this anymore. They don't want this anymore. My job is to recreate a new relationship. And in order to do that, I need to change myself. I need to become a better version, and that better version of myself will attract my ex. So where counseling matters is the pain that you're experiencing won't disappear on itself. Of course, time heals all wounds, as you might have heard before, but it could take years, and sometimes I have people calling me and they've broke up with the ex. I'm trying to remember the last one. It was 2 years ago. He was like, how can I get back with my ex? I was like, when did you guys break up? 2 years ago. And he felt like every day he was thinking about her. Every day he was like feeling depressed. He couldn't really be himself at work. It was really hard for him. And I mean, if he had met me before, he wouldn't feel like this, obviously. So you need to work on that codependency. So that's why it's so hard to let go. And it is the root cause of your anxiety. If you feel anxious, if you feel it's impossible, if you think very negatively towards this relationship recovery. And it's not by, of course, you can do some sports, go out, meet friends, go out, have a new hobby and stuff like that. That would be good for you, but that would not necessarily address these things. This sort of self-discovery. And that's why I think my job is fascinating, because breakups are really provides a framework, a trigger for people to want to analyze themselves, to understand, what were the triggers, to understand their attachment style, their psychology, their perhaps childhood trauma that made them do things this way, that made them be insecure throughout the relationship. And that breakup can be a wake-up call for you, a wake-up call to become a better version of yourself. And if it doesn't work, who cares? Because you'll be way better than you are now, because you'll be a new version. You'll be a version that loves him or herself, that is more aware of your shortcomings and not judgmental. Don't get me wrong. The idea of having a counselor is not necessarily to blame yourself for everything you've done, but how can you be happier? Just as simple as that. How can you love yourself more because you understand those things? When you do this work and your ex has feelings for you, your ex would say, if I ask your ex, what do you think of that person? What do you think of this relationship? And if they would tell me like, that was special, that was unique, I felt loved, it was amazing. And I'm quoting words that my clients would say, that my clients' exes would say. I've never felt like this with someone. When people say that, and they see that their ex is doing the work, they see that their ex is more secure, their ex is changing their life in a way that they wouldn't dreamed of, guess what? They get back together. They get back together, because why would they say no to a life where they have the relationship, they have this, they know they love this person, they know there's a potential, it's really bad potential. But throughout the relationship, for some reason, you didn't express that potential, it wasn't working, there was a lot of friction, but now it's fixed. And so it's a no-brainer. It becomes, as I discussed, organic, it's easier. And so the attention needs to be put on you. The attention needs to be put on the work, on the codependency, on the attachment style, on the anxiety, on the security, and all those things. And that's why I think for you, it's not so much about communication, it's not so much about what should I say, what should I do to make her or him react, what should I post on the social media. It's really about looking inwards. And that's why counseling is important. So my tip, if you feel that getting back with your ex is impossible, is to find someone you trust. Whether it's a local counselor, whether it's someone that you would get a referral from friends, whether it's me, whether it's someone online, I don't care. But seize this opportunity to really make a difference in your life. And use this breakup as something that would transform your life and get you from a position of strength rather than a position of weakness. And if you feel the pain is like really daunting you, it's really hard for you right now, get someone to help you as soon as possible. There's a link in the description if you want to book a free call with me, if you want to discuss this, if you want to discuss your anxiety and how I can help you. And if you have any other things, don't hesitate to comment, don't hesitate to like and subscribe. We are a growing community and I love it. I hope to see you next time. Bye.
For a long time, get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer.